It was 7 years ago this summer that I found out that I was moving to Stillwater. And when it was announced, a number of people, very kind, generous, they reached out via phone calls and texts, and they said things like, "Congratulations, go Pokes, you're gonna love it, you'll look good in orange." But there were two particular text messages that really stand out from those early days. One was from a former parishioner of mine in Tulsa, who happened to be a huge OU fan, a Sooner diehard, with no love for OSU, no love for the city of Stillwater. And so his text to me said this: "Father O'Brien, congratulations on your new assignment. I hope you don't become a pistols-firing acolyte. It is a horrible downward spiral into a bottomless pit of self-loathing and underachieving. When I think of OSU, I think of how purgatory might be. A prolonged period of bewilderment, grief, and denial. Have a great time." Now, every time I see him, I make sure he knows who won the last Bedlam, and that I'm a lifelong OSU fan, and it's been one of the great blessings of my life to be in and around the university for these years. So that was one text message. The other came from our bishop, and it was sent to me the day that I moved here. It was January 11th, 2018. I had sent Bishop Conderla a text message simply to say, "Thank you, Bishop, for this assignment. Thank you for trusting me with this great responsibility," and that I was moving in that day and heading down the turnpike on my way to Payne County. So my text to him was just simply, "Thank you." And his response to me was simply this. He said that God and his love is waiting for you there. God and his love is waiting for you there. And it's true. For these past 6+ years, as I've said many times over the last couple months, it's been the great privilege of my life to be the pastor of St. Francis Xavier. From day one, you've taken me in as one of your own. You've prayed for me, encouraged me, challenged me to be a better pastor, a better priest, and most importantly, a better disciple of Jesus Christ. For that, I will be eternally grateful. In these past 6 years, we've been able to get the church off the ground, get the church moving forward. We've started a successful preschool, serving kids and families from all over the community. We've built a rectory, and we've helped a lot of people, from the Afghan refugees to hundreds of Payne County's neediest who come to the church for help and who have been helped through your generosity. There have, of course, been challenges and setbacks. We've been through a worldwide pandemic together. If you remember back on Ash Wednesday 2021, a broken sprinkler up in the bell tower that caused hundreds of gallons of water to come pouring through the roof. There have been bumps in the road, real struggles. But of course, so many graces. I think of all the baptisms, the confirmations, the first communions, the weddings, the birthday and anniversary blessings, Holy Weeks, Advents, Lents, Christmases, English and Spanish parish missions, the beautiful music, and so much more. I often think of the funerals. For many of you, we've helped you bury mom or dad, a spouse, a son or a daughter, or a good friend. When people ask me, what's your favorite part about being a priest? I'll often say the funerals. And that sounds like perhaps a strange answer, but when facing death, it's amazing how open people are to God's goodness and to his love. I think of the thousands upon thousands of confessions, hours and hours spent in that little room back there. Now, I don't remember any of them, thanks be to God. I think of good homilies and talks and others that have fell a little short. I think of so many wonderful families, the kids, the teenagers, the young adults, our Owls group, our wonderful deacons. And we've had 2 dedicated associate pastors, both conveniently named Robert. We saved a little money on our Christmas stockings. When one moved out, the other came in. We didn't have to buy a new one. I think about the opportunity to work with Father Kerry Wakulich and the students at St. John Catholic Student Center at OSU. I think of the dedicated staff members, beautiful and faithful men and women who work in our parish office. They work tirelessly on your behalf. I think of so many wonderful ministries and leaders of those ministries, many of them up in front of kids and adults, more though way behind the scenes, just day after day after day, keeping our parish moving forward. I think of our many homebound parishioners, some of whom might be watching right now on the live stream. These are some of the holiest and most prayerful people in our parish, and they can never walk through these doors. What an unbelievable blessing it has been. I think of the thousands upon thousands of visitors, maybe some of you here today. You've come through these doors to pray and to receive the sacraments. Each of these and all of these are wonderful ways in which God's love is manifested day after day after day in this community. We just sang in the responsorial psalm, Lord, let your face shine upon us. And indeed it does. His face shines upon this parish in so many ways. God's love shining upon us allows us to be the witnesses that is talked about in Acts of the Apostles chapter 3. Witnesses of the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. That's our job. To witness to his death and resurrection to everyone we meet in Payne County. God's face shines on us in his mercy. We heard it in the readings last week. We heard that theme again today, that God can take what is broken and make it whole again. God can take people who are broken and make them whole again. God can take what is shattered and can put it back together. As Pope Benedict says, God can write straight with crooked lines. He can do those things because he is mercy itself. God has been merciful to me. In many ways, I've fallen short as your pastor, and every priest you'll ever meet will somehow fall short of the glory of God, and for that, I'm sorry. Some bad decisions, lack of patience, not praying enough, not trusting enough, don't delegate enough as I should, a lack of compassion at times, taking too many things on myself, not having my Spanish good enough to be able to communicate well in certain situations. In so many cases, just not enough time to be the priest that perhaps you wanted or needed. If I've fallen short in any way for any of you, please know that my heart was in the right place. And to anyone hurt or offended by my actions or shortcomings, I am sorry. We heard in the readings that God has sent his Holy Spirit to be our consoler and our advocate, and he is certainly that for me. Those 6+ years ago, when Bishop told me that God and his love are waiting for me in this place, I took that to heart, and it has been true. As I leave this week, I want to share with you that same message, but perhaps a little more specifically, a little more tangibly. When Bishop told me that God and his love are waiting for me here, is true. But I share with you more specifically that God and his love are waiting for you here also. When you walk through these doors. But most especially, we tangibly and physically find God's love for us here, and we find it there, in the tabernacle. In that tabernacle is the Eucharist, the center of our faith. God's love becomes manifested in his body and in his blood. Luke chapter 24, that we just heard, says that the two disciples on the road to Emmaus recounted that Jesus was made known to them in the breaking of the bread. In the Eucharist, God's love is shown to us. God's love comes down to us. His sacrifice on the cross, done out of love for you, becomes present to us in the Holy Mass, on this altar, in this tabernacle. God in his love is waiting for you there. He's with us, and he always will be in the great gift of his body and blood. It's my prayer that this parish will, day after day, Mass after Mass, Sunday after Sunday, hour of adoration after hour of adoration, that we will always draw closer to the source and the summit of our Christian faith. Jesus Christ, true God and true man, really and substantially present to us in the most holy Eucharist. God and his love is waiting for you there.